here will deliberate and the audience will be asked to leave the room. Please do not leave before I dismiss you from the room. And please give Megan your attention and respect. When you're ready.
Right. Can you shut the lights off?
Yes.
Can you kill the light?
Alright, my name is Megan Frost and I'm doing my senior exhibition on stock car racing. My central question was, how can reflecting on my racing ability, learning about my car, and reflecting on the racing culture make me a better driver and leader? Some prior knowledge: how to change a tire, the location of the fuel cell, how to drive a standard, location of spark plugs in the motor, time commitment, no guarantee the car is going to run with no problems, top 5 after each feature race go to tech, and late models set to turn on their tire sizes. The classes at Speedway 95 start off with Wednesday night, the stock enduro, and this is actually our family's stock enduro, the 36 yellow one. And then it goes to modified enduro. Racing starts at tomorrow, which is an all teens class, and then it goes to trucks. And then it moves to Saturday night with the Sport 4s, the street stock, sportsmen, and then late models. How I got into racing. My dad had raced for 13 years before I was born. He started in the 6-cylinder class and then moved to late model series. In 1992, he got Rookie of the Year in the late model series. Racing is a family tradition. Not only did my dad race, but my uncle raced and now me. I started last summer in the Sport 4 class, and my dad is my pit chief and my family is my pit crew. Here's a video of what it's like from my perspective during a race. And if it's too loud, you can tell me to quiet it down. My mentor, Mark Lane. Mark has raced on and off since 2011. Yeah.
Can we turn some lights on so I can record this?
Oh, sure.
First try. Perfect. Actually, that's great. That'll do us.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's all right. So my mentor, Mark Lane, has raced on and off since 2011 in the little stock enduro class. He has also been the crew chief for First Choice Auto in the Sport 4 class for many of those years. Some problems we've had was not being able to meet with my mentor as much as I would have liked. I blew up probably around 5 motors this season, and then spark plugs not getting enough fuel or too much fuel, crashing and totaling my car, fearing the top of the track after what happened the first time, which I'll explain later on, my neck and body aching after the force of driving for long term, radios not working all the time and not being able to keep contact with my pit crew, and not many resources on local racing. Here's some pictures of some problems. This is my first night ever racing. The hood pins did not get put in and the hood came up over the windshield and I hit someone that just blew his motor in front of me. This is when 2 cars spun out in front of me and I just happened to hit them because I couldn't get out of the way. And then these 2 were the last race of the season when I totaled my car. 2 cars spun out in front of me and I hit him so hard I went inside of his car and I got sent to the hospital with bruised neck, skull, and back. So mainly my pit crew was the ones that was fixing my car, but I really wanted to learn what was happening when I was blowing up these motors. So I really asked my dad exactly what happened, why I was doing this. And this is a block. This is actually one of my blocks that I blew up. And this is a stock rod, which we originally had, and that's what went through there and made that hole. So to solve that, we went to racing rods. And then up there is a piston, and then there's a ring, which I'll talk about later on. Another motor problem was these are pistons like I showed you on that last slide, and we had a stock valve and that broke and went through this hole up here, as you can tell, and how we fixed that is we put racing valves in. Another problem we were having was we were having spark plug issues. My first spark plug, there's 4 of them. The first one was getting too much fuel, the middle 2 were perfect, and the last one was not getting enough fuel. What happens if you have too much fuel? You flood the engine, sorry about that. And if you don't have enough fuel, you put a hole in the piston or ruin the ring. And so how we fixed that was we took a valve and we put it on the return line going back into the fuel tank, and that stopped as we could monitor how much fuel was coming into the motor. If you listen to this video and try to tell when I overheat my motor, what was happening right before this was we were in a rush trying to get the motor ready and no one turned on the fan. You see the switch here, that doesn't do anything. I have 2 toggle switches and a push button start over there. And watch the gauges, they skyrocket. So how can I tell if I blow up a motor, and what do I do if I was to blow up another motor? There's a lot of smoke that fills up your car, even though you couldn't really see on that one of my other motors, I couldn't see anywhere, it was so filled with smoke. There's a lot of loud popping noises, which you guys probably heard, and then the loss of power. And sometimes I can't even see my gauges, so I have to tell by the feel of if I'm losing power or not, or by the sound. And then if you do blow up a motor, you have to put your clutch in and put it in neutral as fast as you can and shut it off. Because if you don't do that, you risk ruining even more parts in your motor. You don't have time to ask anyone what's going on or what you should do. So like I said, I had a fear of trying the top of the track after what happened. I built the courage up to try it the first time, and I ended up going off the track, almost totaling my car and the tires. So I was really wanting to stay in my comfort zone of the bottom of the track. But after my mentor and my pit crew finally encouraged me to try it again, and I will show you how I did that. This is the first time since then. And as you'll see, this car right here, you can't get too high. It's called the marbles. The marbles are like little rubber pieces that come off your tire, and if you get into them, you'll spin out. And this car in front of me gets into them. See right there. Confidence was another big key. I didn't have any confidence in myself after week. I wasn't able to finish races due to car problems, crashes, or not being able to keep up with the other racers because of them not following the rules, or just my car wasn't running right. I'm not the type of person who is confident in knowing my own decisions and trusting them, but I learned to trust myself, and when it came to being an aggressive driver and doing the right thing in dangerous situations and knowing it was the right choice. Not only did I see the confidence in myself, but other drivers too. This is Dennis Burns. He races in the same class as myself, and he said, every week you come, your times got better. I could tell you were still discouraged, but you kept on keeping on. And I believe you had done great if it wasn't for your not so good luck. But I could see the confidence in you at the end of the year, whereas at the beginning of the season you almost seemed scared. My mentor also gave me some feedback. He said, from the first day to the last, I saw you learn from where the car likes it on the track. You learned the feeling of what the car wanted to do, whether it was to loose or push. I was very impressed on your progress and learning in your driving. Matt Kimball is in the pit next to mine. He is in the class higher than mine, and one day I'd like to reach into that class. So I asked him for some feedback, and he said, your lap times have gotten better, and you've learned how to avoid crashes, even though I haven't, because I showed you those pictures. And you have learned to bring your car to the top of the track. You're definitely faster. Some special events that Speedway 95 does is autographs. And I didn't really expect to sign much autographs when I went out there, but I was really shocked. I went out and I signed at least 100 autographs from kids to adults. And the weirdest ones were being someone's chest and a hubcap. But even kids and adults, I haven't won yet, but came up to me and told me how much they are inspired by me and love watching me race, and that made me get so much more confidence than I can do this no matter how hard it gets. The Bangor Mall Car Show is what this picture is about. That's Matt Kimball, who I was just talking about. Is when Speedway 95 cars go to the Bangor Mall and they show off their cars, letting fans sit in them or get close to them. And then you also represent Speedway 95, which I'll be a part of this year. My next slide is new learning about NASCAR. NASCAR is the highest level of racing that there is. You have to be physically and mentally fit is important because a driver handles a 3,000-pound car going 200 miles an hour around a banked track for hours. At Speedway 95, we're between 60 and 70 miles an hour on a banked track up to an hour, depending on cautions and if it's a special race. Special races are where we have 4 of them each year. They're 50 laps other than 25 laps. Keeping sponsors happy when it comes to the media. Every driver at Speedway has sponsors or a sponsor. You have to have a good relationship with them because they're the ones that give you money to represent their logo. So you have to really make sure you're putting a good effort. More new learning from that book was it costs $12 million a year to operate a Winston Cup team. It cost us around $6,000 this year. Arm strength is necessary to steer the car at high speeds for up to 5 hours. All the shifting and braking is almost like jogging, and on a hot afternoon, it can reach up to 140 degrees inside the car. It may not reach 140 degrees inside my car, but it does get very hot. And your body gets very sore, so you really have to focus on racing and not your pain. Another book I read was from Finish to Start. NASCAR drivers have their own engine rooms, and they tarp off their engines from their opponents. A lot of Speedway 95 drivers, some like to hide their engines. That's usually because they're cheating, but most of us like to help each other out and make sure we get out there and race. Every tool and spare part is in the arm's reach in case they need it for a pit stop. As soon as we get there, we unload the truck and trailer, and we have everything right there, so if something was to happen, it's right there and we can just use whatever we need. Some more new learning from that book was if a race is at a super speedway where speeds become dangerous, NASCAR insists on restrictor plates. If restrictor plates have been used, inspection takes longer, so teams have to be there at 4 a.m. and on a regular race, 7 a.m. The tech guys changed a lot of rules in our class this year. One of them being restrictor plates. We're the only class in Maine that I know of that has to run them. And what it is like a plate that goes over your motor, like where the air comes in, and it restricts the amount of airflow to your engine to reduce the amount of horsepower so they can regulate it. And Speedway's goal of using restrictor plates in our class is to even up the field, make it more competitive. So what has physically changed in my car? We have a newer style car to help with airflow, which I'll show you when we go out in the room. Have a nose piece on the car to help with airflow. Restrictor plates. I'm going to run the top of the track mainly this year, if only go on bottom if I absolutely have to. And then have a good motor, send it to a machine shop, make sure it's good to go, not one that's just randomly put together. Hopefully I won't blow much up. And then we'll also have a spare motor at the track. And then move the switches to the center of the car so that we don't run into that fan situation again where someone didn't turn on the fan. I have all control over that. We put tubing in the frame to help when I crash to keep this car sturdier and hopefully less damage. The seat lower and further back for less impact on myself and more center weight. And then moving my steering column closer so I'm not oversteering. You might have saw in one of the videos I was going like this. It's a lot closer. And then making my gauges easier to see so I can detect if something's wrong, not just basing on listening and feel. What has mentally changed? I have learned so much about myself, a lot more confidence in myself and knowing something's wrong in my car, and actually being able to tell my pit crew what I think it is and being confident. And I'm now a confident, aggressive driver. I want to be a better role model to the children and adults who I have impacted and that look up to me. Another big thing is getting over the frustration. People are going to cheat and they're going to get away with it. But I have come to the sense that I'm only in control of how I drive and what I do to my car. So now what? I'm going to college for business, and having to budget money for numerous parts and fees that we have to pay gave me a great idea of what to do with the rest of my life and what I want to go to school for. We have bought another car. We are currently in the middle of building it and hopes to get it done for the Bangor Mall car show, which I'll show you guys in a little bit. I'm more confident out on the track and in the pits working on my car, and not only in racing but in school and things I do in my everyday life. Thank you to my pit crew and all the other drivers who have helped me out this season. This is my pit crew. I couldn't have done it without them. And then thank you to my senior X teacher, my mentor Mark Lane, driver interviewees Dennis Byrne, Mark Lane, and Matt Kimball, MDIHS, my pit crew, sponsors, and Vaughn Pappas for ordering books for me. And this is my works cited. And then, so this is what I have to wear. This is a fire suit. Covers my whole body. And then we also have gloves. And then my helmet. And then you can see the cord that goes around to that connects to my radio. And then I didn't have these shoes last year, but after almost catching on fire that last one, because I don't know how I didn't knock his fuel cell off, I bought shoes to be even more protective. And then if you guys want to follow me out to the room, I'll show you my car. This way. And then my steering column, you can see, is also moved closer. We had to extend the pedals because I'm so short. And then the nose piece will go right here. I didn't dare to bring it because we have to take a lot of time to modify it to fit the car. We've had to modify everything on this thing. Another change was the ride height. As you guys can tell, it's sitting a lot lower, and that's to help with weight and top weight, not having it. It's about 4 inches ride height. If you guys want to come to the back, I'll show you what the fuel cell is like. And here's the switches. We moved it to the middle instead of having it on the door so only I can reach it. And this is where the fuel cell is located, unlike a regular gas tank. And you can see we put tubing back here, so if I was to get rear-ended, it wouldn't happen like what happened when I crashed.
Does your seat have a cushion in it, or do you have a
We have yeah, there's a cover that goes over it, but it's not much of a cushion.
You wouldn't want to drive to Boston anymore.
Do you guys have any questions?
So when you were talking about airflow
Yep.
in the front, I was listening to the radio today yesterday about the Detroit Auto Show,
Yeah.
and they figured out a way for the airflow to be better underneath the car.
Oh, really?
It's underneath, so all the mufflers and things don't
Oh,
make resistance.
that's cool.
For better fuel consumption
Yeah.
and stuff. So I just wondered if you did that here.
Yeah, maybe. We have to follow by certain rules, so we would have to ask one of the tech guys if that was allowed. I know that we have to be a certain weight, and right now we're 100 pounds off what the weight has to be, which is 2,200 pounds.
Too heavy.
No, I'm 2,100, and this has to be 2,200.
Oh, you gotta build it up.
Yep. But we're not done building it. We have to add tin from here to there to protect me from if this was to blow up.
Wear lead in your boots.
Huh?
You wear lead in your boots.
Yep. Yeah. Any other questions?
Were you one of the people who worked on the car and added stuff?
During the racing season, mainly my pit crew worked on it because I was running around trying to grab them parts. But when we built this car, I actually was a big part of it. Like, I helped my brother put the whole front end together, so I know an idea of like how to build one now. And then I'm hoping this next season I know enough about the motor that I can actually help them.
So do you just take like a piece of car and put the pieces together with it?
Yep, this is a regular Chevy Cavalier, and we stripped everything completely out of it, right down to the actual body. And then we started building the roll cage right inside of it, in which we just got that done, but we still have to add more tubing for safety. And then we just had to modify, like, we had to build motor mounts because that motor didn't fit perfectly inside the car. But then we had to do the fuel cell and hook up fuel lines and brake lines and all that. So yeah, you just take a regular car, you just strip it right down, and then you start building.
So have you taken some of the courses with Mr. Munger then?
I took
welding, things like that?
I took architecture.
Oh, wow.
But during this whole process, I had a welding helmet on. My brother's certified welder, and I've been watching what he does.
Right.
So I kind of understand a little bit of it.
So you can work on it right here, or did you bring it in today?
I just brought it in for today. My dad has a garage, he's a mechanic, and I work on it there.
Any other questions?
You put glass in it. What do you do with that?
No, we put plexiglass.
Glass?
Megan, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Nice job.
Thanks.